Hello, this is Adam for American Teacher on YouTube. If you haven't, please click subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment in the comment section below. First, I'd like to start off by saying that the Taiwanese government has done a wonderful job in rolling out the vaccines that they have received so far. They have opened vaccine registration to people 18 and up, and the process is very simple. You just go online and put in your information, and they will respond with a text message and set up a time and date for you to receive your vaccine. Of course, right now we're just receiving the first vaccine. Most people are receiving the first vaccine shot. But that is a huge step in the right direction. So yeah, I would like to thank the Taiwanese government for the effort that they put forth. I think it's one of the most efficient vaccine rollouts that I've heard about anywhere in the world, because we went from almost having no vaccines a few months ago to having millions of vaccines, and the government has given a significant portion of the population their first shot already. So I think that's that speaks to the efficiency of the government rollout of vaccines. Okay, today's topic is about the Chinese state-sponsored hacking of not only American computer systems, but also European computer systems and computer systems around the world. So this story popped up on my news feed late last night, and I read through the article before, skimmed through the article before going to sleep. And I thought, wow, this is pretty big news. And then I woke up this morning, and I went to the news websites, and on most of the news websites, the story had disappeared from the front page, or I couldn't find it. I had to go into the search box and type in the keywords to find the article. But anyway, the main story is Chinese state-sponsored hackers exploited a flaw in Microsoft Exchange servers, and they use this to steal not only state secrets but also corporate secrets from many different industries, including those associated with the defense industry. So this is extremely concerning, but probably what was most surprising is that the European Union, the UK, and the US put out statements blaming Chinese actors for this hack. So it shows some measure of agreement and the willingness to work together to put a stop to these hacks on the parts of the European Union and NATO countries and the US. Okay, so what the article doesn't talk about is whether or not this hack is associated with the SolarWinds hack, which was blamed on Russia. Now, the SolarWinds hack, let's see, yeah, it was. So SolarWinds was a major US tech firm, and it was the subject of a cyber attack that spread to its clients and went undetected for months. So if I'm not mistaken, this SolarWinds company was hired or contracted to provide security to many clients, including Microsoft. And it says foreign hackers, some top US officials believe are from Russia, were able to use the hack to spy on private companies like the elite cybersecurity firm FireEye and the upper echelons of the U.S. government, including the Department of Homeland Security and the Treasury Department. On Thursday, it was reported that the U.S. government was ready to impose sanctions on about a dozen Russian intelligence officials over their alleged role in interfering with the 2020 presidential election, as well as the SolarWinds hack. So the SolarWinds hack took place in early 2020. So this article that I'm reading from is from Business Insider. It's dated April 16th of 2021 this year. Okay, so this current statement from the U.S. doesn't, and the other countries, doesn't indicate whether or not these Microsoft Exchange server hacks were related to the SolarWinds hack from last year. Okay, according to Ars Technica, in an article dated today, July 20th, 2021, U.S. warns China over state-sponsored hacking, citing mass attacks on Exchange. The U.S. government blamed the Chinese government on Monday for attacks on thousands of Microsoft Exchange servers. China's Ministry of State Security, or MSS, quote, has fostered an ecosystem of criminal contract hackers who carry out both state-sponsored activities and cybercrime for their own financial gain, end quote. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement that blamed the MSS for the Microsoft Exchange hacks. Again, the MSS is China's Ministry of State Security. The U.S. government and its allies, quote, formally confirmed that cyber actors affiliated with the MSS exploited vulnerabilities in Microsoft Exchange server in a massive cyber espionage operation that indiscriminately compromised thousands of computers and networks, mostly belonging to private sector victims, end quote, Secretary of State Blinken said. Blinken's statement was released alongside a Justice Department announcement that 3 MSS officers and 1 other Chinese national were indicted by a federal grand jury on charges related to a different series of hacks into, quote, the computer systems of dozens of victim companies, end quote. Continue the quote. The computer systems of dozens of victim companies, universities, and government entities in the United States and abroad between 2011 and 2018, end quote. Blinken said that the U.S., quote, and countries around the world are holding the People's Republic of China accountable for its pattern of irresponsible, disruptive, and destabilizing behavior in cyberspace, which poses a major threat to our economic and national security, end quote. However, the U.S. did not announce any new sanctions against China, which is shocking considering that they immediately, almost immediately brought up sanctions against Russia for the SolarWinds hack, or security, the people related to the SolarWinds hack. So the U.S. in this case hasn't yet announced any new sanctions against China. But Blinken said the indictment is evidence that, quote, the U.S. will impose consequences on the PRC malicious cyber actors for their irresponsible display and behavior in cyberspace, end quote. So according to this article, we've known about the Microsoft Exchange attacks for over 4 months. Tens of thousands of US-based organizations are running Microsoft Exchange servers that have been backdoored by threat actors who are stealing administrator passwords and exploiting critical vulnerabilities in the email and calendaring application. This is according to Ars Technica. So backdoor is exactly what it sounds like. They use a security flaw in a program or operating system to gain access to a computer system illegally. So at the time, 4 months ago, Microsoft wrote that it had detected multiple zero-day exploits being used to attack on-premises versions of Microsoft Exchange Server in limited and targeted attacks, and that it attributes the campaign with high confidence to Hafnium, a group assessed to be state-sponsored and operating out of China, based on observed victimology, tactics, and procedures. Microsoft issued emergency patches for 4 zero-day vulnerabilities in Exchange Server that were being exploited by hackers. The attacks were unusual because 6 hacking groups exploited vulnerabilities before Microsoft issued a patch. Compromised Exchange servers were also hit with multiple types of ransomware. So this was almost certainly sanctioned by China. Now, what's the difference between this and other previous state-sponsored hacks? Because we know China and Russia have hacked into US computer systems before. Well, I think in this case, it is the scale of the espionage, which is unprecedented. According to the BBC, in an article dated today, July 20th, 2021, the title of the article is "China Accused of Cyber Attack on Microsoft Exchange Servers." It says that they quoted a security source saying that, quote, "We believe that cyber operators working under the control of Chinese intelligence learned about Microsoft's vulnerability in early January and were racing to exploit the vulnerability before it was widely identified in the public domain," end quote, a security source told the BBC. So in other words, China was racing to exploit these flaws before they were patched. According to the BBC, if this had been all, it would have been just another espionage operation. But in late February, something significant changed. The targeted attack became a mass pile-in when other China-based groups began to exploit the vulnerability. The targets scaled up to encompass key industries and governments worldwide. It had turned from a targeted espionage to a massive smash and grab raid. So the scale of this is unprecedented. In other words, China took off the gloves. They passed this information on to several other hacker groups who used the flaws in Microsoft Exchange Server to hack into computer systems around the world. It says, according to the BBC, around 250,000 systems worldwide were left exposed, often small or medium-sized businesses and organizations, and at least 30,000 computer systems were compromised. So what kinds of things did they take? Well, it doesn't exactly say in this most recent attack. The article doesn't exactly say in this most recent attack what was stolen. They just say information and intellectual property. But the previous hacking campaign, the one in which 4 Chinese nationals were indicted, was quite damaging. And in the Ars Technica article, it says that the Justice Department said that the 2011 to 2018 hacking campaign, quote, targeted victims in the US, Austria, Cambodia, Canada, Germany, Indonesia, Malaysia, Norway, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Switzerland, and the UK, and stole trade secrets, medical research, and other sensitive information. Quote, targeted industries included, among others, aviation, defense, education, government healthcare, biopharmaceutical, and maritime. Stolen trade secrets and confidential business information included, among other things, sensitive technologies used for submersibles like submarines and autonomous vehicles, specialty chemical formulas, commercial aircraft servicing, proprietary genetic sequencing technology and data, and foreign information to support China's efforts to secure contracts for state-owned enterprises within the targeted country. For example, large-scale high-speed railway development projects. At research institutes and universities, the conspiracy targeted infectious disease research related to Ebola, MERS, HIV/AIDS, Marburg virus, and tularemia. So the article says these 4 Chinese nationals were indicted by a federal grand jury in San Diego in May. The indictment was unsealed on last Friday, and alleges that much of the conspiracy's theft was focused on information that was of significant economic benefit to China's companies and commercial sectors, including information that would allow the circumvention of lengthy and resource-intensive research and development processes. In other words, they were stealing secrets that would allow them to jump technologically ahead of other countries, or at least to become on par technologically with other countries. And it goes on to say that the 4 indicted people, which they name, were officers in the Hainan State Security Department, an arm of China's MSS, which I mentioned earlier. So we know a few things. We know that China's hacking campaign has been stepped up for some reason. That China declared all-out war when it gave the tools necessary to hack into Microsoft Exchange servers to multiple hacking agencies in China. The question is why, and why now? Are they trying to do something? Are they trying to press the US in some way? I don't know. I don't know what the impetus for this is, but it is rather concerning because the gloves have come off, and if we could go to war over cyber attacks, then we would probably go to war over something like this. So at what point does such a cyber attack become an act of war? Does somebody have to die before a massive cyber attack that steals sensitive information about defense agencies and contractors? Is that enough to go to war? I think we're getting into territory we haven't been in before. So I definitely believe that the U.S. should institute strong sanctions on China, not only for the cyber attacks, but for the genocide in Xinjiang province, for the brutal crackdown on protest in Hong Kong, the authoritarian takeover of the formerly democratic government of Hong Kong, the bullying that China has used in order to try to twist the arms of other countries to do their wishes, we are going to have to deal with China sooner than later. And I don't think it's wise to let them build up their military to the point to where that they could possibly defeat the other countries, including the U.S. And I think some people think it's a long way off. I think they are racing, and it could be why they have taken off the gloves and stealing secret information from other countries, because they are in a race to beef up their military, because they are planning military attack in the near future. I don't want war. Nobody wants war. But we can't allow an authoritarian government to take away our democratic freedoms. And we can't let an authoritarian government tell us what to do. We won't live in fear of the Communist Party of China. So we might as well let them know that we mean business right now. Because they will complain and they will deny that they have done anything wrong, as they've done in the past and will continue to do into the future. They will lie through their teeth, as my grandma used to say. They will use every arm of propaganda that the government has. The Global Times, CGTN, Xinhua News, those are all agencies, propaganda agencies of the Chinese government. And they will put every one of those to use, including some overseas news agencies that they have paid off. But I think the time will come soon to where we have to deal with them. And I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm not backing away either. So I think China should think twice before it messes with the U.S. I think it believes that the U.S. is a fading empire, kind of like Rome in its last days, the Roman Empire. But they couldn't be further from the truth. The U.S. right now could easily defeat China in an all-out war, and they know it. And perhaps that's why they are so desperate to steal these secrets. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching American Teacher. Bye-bye.